The story begins with a boy named Hajime, who finds himself in a strange place, a cave within the great Orcus labyrinth. He tries to find a way out, and suddenly a strange-looking rabbit appears in front of him. He is astonished and wonders what it is. The rabbit looks at him, then attacks them. But suddenly, the rabbit sees another huge monster and tries to escape. However, the monster bares its fangs, wraps coils around it, and cuts its neck. Then it attacks and starts eating it, making Hajime extremely terrified and trying to flee. But the monster notices him, attacks Hajime, cuts off his arm, and then eats it. After that, the monster attacks him again, but Hajime uses his magic to escape and manages to do so. He falls into a pit and faints once more. Here, we go back in time to understand how Hajime got to this place. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell to receive all new updates. Hajime joined a school called the Hero Academy, which is a school for students with extraordinary abilities. The world they live in consists of humans, demons, and a group called demi-humans, who resemble humans but have differences. As usual, there is always a conflict between humans and demons. The demons manage to take over the world and kill humans. So a group of heroes from the human world appears to fight the demons. These heroes are called the rebels, and they build the great Orcus labyrinth to hide from the demons. But the demons send monsters after them, destroying a large group of heroes. The mission of the summoned hero team is to descend into the labyrinth to train in fighting monsters. Their teacher is very worried about this, and Hajime is the weakest student, whose mission is to assist the other heroes. We go to one of the heroes in her room, named Kaori. Her power is that she can quickly heal the injured and wounded. She asks Hajime not to go with them on the journey, but he tells her that he will participate as long as everyone else is. It seems that Kaori likes Hajime a lot. The next day, the hero team prepares to practice the labyrinth tactic, and they descend into the labyrinth, encountering a monster that attacks them. The assistant leader manages to save them. One of the team members mocks Hajime, and Kaori tries to help him. The assistant leader tells Hajime to train to be worthy of being part of the hero team. One team member grabs a jewel, which turns red, and they find themselves transported to a lower place in the labyrinth, facing a group of skeleton soldiers. The leader tells them to move quickly, and the assistant leader defeats the skeletons. The leader asks them to withdraw, and they manage to defeat the skeletons. But a huge monster appears. The leader tries to create a barrier to protect the heroes, but the monster easily destroys it. Hajime tries to use his magic to protect everyone. Everyone withdraws and tries to attack the monster from a distance. But suddenly, the ground collapses, and we find out that one of the heroes attacked Hajime with magic, causing him to fall from the broken bridge to the bottom of the labyrinth. We return to the present, where we see Hajime in the labyrinth after waking up from fainting. He tries to survive the monsters attacking him. Since he is hungry and there is no food, he tries to eat the meat of a dead monster, but it tastes terrible and is poisonous. He faints again, and suddenly he wakes up. Seeing that his hair has turned white, we discover that whenever he eats a monster, he gains its power and can raise his stats. After raising his stats, he uses his transformation magic to create a magic gun and defeats the monsters with it. Each time he defeats a monster and eats it, his stats increase significantly. He attacks the monster that ate his arm, shoots it with magic bullets, cuts off its arm, and eats it. Then he uses magic to kill the monster. We learn that his level has risen significantly to level 17 with high stats. He says he must delve deeper into the labyrinth and finish it to find a way out. In another scene, we see the heroes after they return from the labyrinth and report to the king what happened. We learn that Kaori fainted because of what happened to Hajime, and her friend Shizuka remembers what happened and wants to go down to the labyrinth to try to save Hajime if he is still alive. But the teacher gets angry and tries to prevent them from entering the labyrinth again. But no one listens to her. We see Shizuka training with a sword to protect her friend Kaori. But suddenly Hayama appears and says, "No one knew he killed Hajime using magic." No one knows. Shizuka goes to check on her friend Kaori, and suddenly Kaori wakes up, feeling sad about what happened to Hajime and trying to go to him. But Shizuka stops her in a sad moment. We return to Hajime again as he tries to survive in the labyrinth. Suddenly, a huge room appears guarded by two large, powerful monsters. They attack Hajime, who tries to use magic bullets to attack them. The monster attacks him forcefully, but suddenly, Hajime appears behind it and manages to kill the monster. After killing it, he finds magical stones inside the monsters and uses them to open the door. As soon as the door opens, the labyrinth lights up beautifully, revealing a girl trapped inside the room. She asks him for help, but he initially refuses. She tells him that she was betrayed, reminding him of his own betrayal. We learn that the girl is a vampire who once ruled a kingdom but was betrayed by her followers. Hajime decides to save her after saving her. She asks him to give her a name, and he names her Yue. Suddenly, a monster appears in the room and attacks Hajime, hitting him from behind because he didn't see it. The monster's appearance is meant to prevent Yue from escaping. Hajime starts fighting the monster and shoots at it, but the bullets have no effect. He then shoots at the wall, causing it to collapse on the monster, but to no avail. Since Yue has been imprisoned for a long time and her strength is weak, she begins to suck Hajime's blood and attacks the monster with great magical power, or severely injuring it. The two of them then attack the monster with full force, and Hajime shoots at the wounded area, managing to kill it. Yue asks him why he saved her instead of escaping, and he tells her it's because she was betrayed just like him. We learn that vampires were exterminated more than 300 years ago. Hajime starts making weapons to use against the monsters, and we see him crafting a magical rifle. Yue asks about his story, and he tells her everything from the moment he was transported to this world. Yue is moved by his story and starts to cry. After that, we see them moving to try to get out of the labyrinth. Suddenly, a group of monsters appears inside the labyrinth and attacks them. Hajime begins to flee, and we see some flowers on the monsters' heads. Hajime hides from the monsters, but suddenly Yue is infected with the same disease that afflicted the monsters, and a flower appears on her head, causing her to attack Hajime. We learn that it is not a disease, but a demon controlling them. Yue tries to attack and control Hajime, but we find out that Hajime has developed resistance due to eating monsters. Hajime attacks the demon and kills it. They rest after defeating it and start eating the monsters. Then they start moving again, trying to go deeper into the labyrinth. Suddenly, they reach a gate in the labyrinth, which seems to be the last room in the labyrinth. At the beginning, they enter the room and are amazed by its beauty. Suddenly, a strange magic activates, and a giant monster appears in the room. This monster has several heads, each using a different type of magic, including one that uses healing magic. Hajime and Yue start attacking and injuring the monster, but it uses healing magic every time it gets attacked. The monster uses a strange magic on Yue, shocking her. But Hajime throws a bomb at the monster and saves her. Then, they return to attack with great force. Yue uses her magic with all her strength to distract the monster, and Hajime uses the magic gun he made to eliminate the head that uses healing magic. After that, they attack the monster and think they have killed it, but they are surprised to find it still alive and attacking Yue. However, Hajime saves her and gets injured in the process. Yue and Hajime escape from the monster and use a healing potion. Then Hajime returns, attacks the monster with a bomb, and injures it. Yue attacks the monster with all her strength, and they finally manage to defeat it. In another scene, we see the teacher complaining to the king about exploiting the students to fight the monsters. The king explains that he has no other choice, so the teacher tells him that if he does not stop this, she will not use her magic again, which is farming magic. The king suggests and promises her that those who do not want to fight will not be forced to. The teacher thanks him and leaves. In another scene, we see the students and soldiers inside the dungeon, where Kari tries to remember what happened and seems sad. Shizuka and her friends try to comfort her and tell her that they need to become stronger to protect themselves and try to save Hajime if he is still alive. We return to Hajime, and we learn that he was severely injured after defeating the monster and that Yue healed him. We see them in a strange place inside the dungeon, resembling a palace, with swimming pools, a library, and many rooms. They try to inspect the rooms until they reach the room of the palace owner, finding only a skeleton sitting on his chair. They find a magic circle in the middle. Hajime enters it, and suddenly magic activates, causing the spirit of the palace owner to speak. This person begins to tell Hajime about the truth of this strange world. We see the group of students in the maze returning to the same place where they were previously defeated, and the same monster appears to them. They repeat their attack on it this time, but their strength is very weak against it. The monster starts attacking them, but the deputy commander confronts it. Then the leader of the warriors confronts it as well. They get injured by the monster, but Kaori heals them. The monster attacks them again, but they manage to fend it off. Then they attack it with all their strength and finally defeat it. We return to Hajime, where the person talks to him and tells him that the cause of the world's ruin is the gods that rule it, and that previous people tried to defeat them but failed. The person gives Hajime his magical power and asks him to use it to help humans. The power he gives him is crafting magic, which allows him to shape raw materials and create various magical tools. Hajime finds a ring in the person's hand that controls the palace and takes it. Hajime enters the person's laboratory and searches his research to learn more about his power. He begins to create an artificial arm resembling the real one using different materials and uses it instead of his cut arm. He trains on it until he masters its use. Then they take a short break and start eating. After that, they return to the place of the magic circle and use magic to get out of the maze. We see a girl resembling a human from the rabbit tribe being attacked by a giant dinosaur-like monster. Suddenly, Hajime and Yue emerge from the maze, causing the monster to flee. The rabbit girl approaches them and says, "Finally, I found you." They leave her and continue on their way, but she follows them and asks for their help. Suddenly, the monster reappears, and the rabbit girl says, "Run!" But Hajime easily kills it. We learn that the rabbit girl's name is Shia, and she asks for their help to save her family, who are facing the threat of annihilation. Hajime agrees to help and asks how she knew about their presence there. She explains that she can use magic to see potential futures. Hajime uses his magic to create a motorcycle and prepares to go save them. In another scene, we see dragons attacking the rabbit tribe from the sky. Hajime helps them and manages to kill the dragons. To distract the monsters, Hajime throws Shia towards them, causing them to scatter, and then kills them all. He starts defeating the remaining monsters that want to attack them and defeats them all. Shia thanks Hajime for saving the tribe and asks him about his goal. He tells her that his only goal is to return home with Yue. Shia expresses her desire to follow and be with him, but he tells her that she must become stronger first. We learn that the rabbit tribe is peaceful and not inclined to killing. So Hajime decides to train them and teach them how to become strong with brutal strength. The training begins, and after defeating some monsters, they become incredibly strong. Hajime goes with the rabbits to a huge tree that looks dead but is still standing. He looks at it and says, "It seems to be a maze." He finds carved spots in a rock and places the ring he took from the maze master. The stone lights up, and we learn that they need to collect the rest of the rings from other mazes to open this strange maze. After that, Hajime decides to explore the other mazes to become stronger and be able to return to his world. The rabbits ask to follow him, but he refuses, telling them that they need to become stronger first and that he will definitely need them later. Hajime decides to move on, and we see Hajime, Yito, and Shia setting off on their journey. They sit together and decide to enter the remaining labyrinths and complete them. Suddenly, Shia finds something strange and asks the others to come. They discover that it is a new labyrinth, so they decide to explore it. They defeat the monsters and begin to descend into the labyrinth. We learn that this labyrinth is different from the previous one. It is a trap labyrinth. As soon as they descend, they encounter a series of traps, and Shia starts destroying these traps along the way. Shia gets injured by some traps and gets stuck on the ground. We learn that the one responsible for this labyrinth is a witch named Meldy, who is merely trying to play with them. Suddenly, after they descend, they find a room and discover that they are in the same room they had entered before, which makes Shia upset. Eventually, they reach the witch's room. A group of armored guards appears and begins to attack them, but their number is vast and seemingly endless. In the end, they manage to escape from them and go to another room. At that moment, we see another huge armored figure controlled by the witch Meldy. Meldy asks Hajime what his goal is in using the ancient magic. He answers that his goal is to go home and tells her that the creation of this world is what trapped him here, and he wants to leave. Meldy tells them that she will test them to know their abilities and determine if they are worthy of this magic or not. She starts attacking them with destructive power, but they manage to survive and begin attacking her. Hajime uses a massive weapon against her, and they defeat her. After they defeat her, and before she disappears, she warns them to be cautious because anyone who seeks the ancient magic and sorcery is targeted by the gods of this world. We learn that each labyrinth has an owner, and to return to their world, they must acquire enough power, and then she disappears, and they find themselves in the reward room. We see another form of the witch Meldy as she gives him his reward, which is gravity magic. Then, she expels them from the labyrinth through the sea. After that, they go to a hotel to rest. Later, the head of the Adventurers Guild hears about them and requests to meet them. He sits with them and tells them about the rumors that they managed to defeat a large group of monsters. He then asks them to undertake a task, which is to find a missing person who happens to be the son of a noble. Initially, Hajime refuses, but the guild leader tells him that he will give him a big reward and the guild's protection if he agrees. So Hajime agrees. Then the three of them start moving and head to the place where the person disappeared. In another scene, we see the students' school, called Eiko, and a group of students staying at a hotel in a village that focuses on agriculture. They talk about the delicious food available, but suddenly the cook comes and tells them that he will not be able to cook that food again. They ask for the reason, and he tells them that there is news about a group of monsters that will attack the village. And because of this, the traders stopped coming to the village. But suddenly, during the conversation, Hajime enters the restaurant with his friends. At that moment, the students and Eiko hear his voice and are shocked that he is still alive. Eiko goes to him and says, "You are Hajime, right?" Hajime is shocked and says to her, "No, I am not Hajime." But the teacher insists on talking until he tells her the truth. She sits with them and talks with Yui and Shia, but she gets angry that they are with him. Then, during the conversation, the knight who protects her, appears and mocks Hajime and his team, calling Shia a monster. At that moment, Hajime gets angry and shoots him. Then he tries to threaten him and says, "You have nothing to do with me, so don't try to interfere in something that doesn't concern you. If you do, I will kill you." After that, he tries to console Shia after what was said. Then they leave the restaurant. At night, we see Nagumo going to her room and talking with her, telling her the reason why he hasn't returned to them yet. He begins to tell the story of the god who is the reason for the ruin of this world, and that there was a group of warriors who possessed special magic that could defeat him. But the god of this world defeated them. He says that these labyrinths contain the magic of those people, and he must conquer the labyrinths to obtain this ancient magic through which he can defeat the god. And he must do it alone. Then Eiko tells him that Kari is sad about him and doesn't believe that he died. He tells her, "You must be careful, because there is something more dangerous than the monsters, and that is humans." He tells her that one of her students is the one who attacked him and tried to kill him, and he is the reason for all this. At that moment, she is shocked by what she hears. After that, he and his friends go out to complete their mission. At that time, they find Aiko and the students in front of them, and they tell them that they will be with them while executing the mission. Initially, he refuses, but Aiko insists, and then he agrees. He starts using his crafting magic and makes a car. They are shocked by the car, but they get in and start moving. Then, they reach the place where the person disappeared. Hajime uses his magic and summons machines to locate the people in the area. After that, they find signs of a battle, so they go to the place and find traces of a giant monster. They start tracking the traces and try to find the place. Suddenly, they reach a strange cave and find the missing person. He tells them that he was with a group of adventurers, but they all died because of the monsters, and the most dangerous monster was a dragon. They leave the cave, and suddenly the dragon appears and starts attacking them. It attacks with a strange beam, but Hajime manages to block it with his shield. Yui and Shia attack it and manage to bring it down. Then Hajime shoots it and hits it, and uses a large weapon to pin it to the ground and prevent it from moving. And they defeat it in the end. Then the dragon begs them to leave it. At that moment, we discover that the dragon is female, and that someone deceived her and cast a control spell on her. This person is gathering a group of monsters to attack the city, and they must stop him. She can transform into a human and thanks them for saving her. And we learn that her name is Tio. She tells them that there are thousands of monsters controlled by this person. Hajime uses his skills and finds out that there are 60,000. The teacher asks him to help in defeating the monsters, but he refuses and says that his mission is only to retrieve the noble. They return to the city. After returning, Eiko asks Hajime to help them defeat the monsters again. He tells her that he will do it only because his teacher asked for it, and he starts preparing for the battle against the monsters. Hajime starts preparing his weapons. A student named Sonobe appears and thanks him for saving her earlier in the cave. He talks with her, and then she leaves. Tio goes to him and asks him to help in defeating the monsters and joins him in his adventure. At that moment, the monsters appear. Hajime uses some of his weapons to attack the monsters, and at the same time, Tio, Yui, and Shia start attacking the monsters with destructive force. Everyone is shocked by their great power. Hajime uses large weapons to destroy the monsters, but everyone gets tired due to using their mana. Hajime and Shia decide to break through the monsters and start defeating them. In the end, they reach the person controlling the monsters. Everyone is shocked when they find out that the person is a student of Eiko. We discover that this person made a pact with the demons, which granted him great power. His goal is to kill Aiko. Eiko tries to bring him back to his senses, but he takes her hostage to escape. At that moment, Hajime gets angry and shoots him and hits him. Despite this, Eiko tries to help him, but in the end, Hajime kills him because he considers him an enemy. After the situation was resolved, he decided to leave and proceed with his mission, which was to deliver the nobleman to the adventurers' guild leader. In another scene, we see a group of slave traders abducting a small girl from the merfolk tribe. Then, we return to Hajime after he completed the mission and is with the adventurers' guild leader. We learn that some people in the town are trying to spy on them, but Hajime discovers them. He doesn't care about them and begins to stroll around the city with Shia. They enter an exhibition and find a talking fish there. Hajime starts talking to it and decides to buy and rescue it. However, the fish tells him that there are some criminals in the city who trade in humans and that he should be cautious of them. They return to the city, and suddenly Hajime senses a strange movement underground in the sewers. He decides to go down and finds a little girl, whom he rescues. We discover that the girl is from the merfolk tribe, a tribe that is half human and half fish, and that a group of people tried to trade and sell her. Hajime starts talking to her and taking care of her, learning that her name is Mio. He gives her food and clothes and then decides to hand her over to the city guards to take care of her and return her to her family. He gives her to them and walks away, but suddenly he hears an explosion in the same place. He rushes back and discovers that she has been kidnapped. Hajime decides to attack them, but suddenly he finds Yue and Tio there. He decides to launch a full-scale assault on all the traders in the city, destroy them, and rescue all the kidnapped children. He reaches the person who kidnapped Mio, rescues her, and kills him. After that, he takes her and flies, telling her, "Focus because you will see fireworks from above," referring to Yue, Shia, and Tio destroying all the gang's hideouts. She thanks him for saving her and decides to call him Dad. They resume their journey with Mio. We see them getting into their car and heading to a neighboring city, where she and her friends have been summoned. They go to the head of the Adventurers Guild in this city and give him a letter from the head of the guild in the other city. Suddenly, one of his old friends, a student named Ando, appears. He is shocked to see him still alive. But Ando asks for help because the other heroes are under a powerful attack from a demon and are on the verge of death, begging for assistance. We flash back to an earlier time and see the heroes on the 90th floor of the labyrinth. They find it strange that there are no monsters there, but they find some blood on the ground. Suddenly, a demoness appears in the labyrinth. Everyone is shocked at her appearance, and she asks them to join her. But they refuse. She begins attacking them, and they are injured. Kari heals them, and they start attacking her. It seems that this demoness can control the monsters in the labyrinth. They try to attack, but all their attacks are futile. They tell Ando to go and inform the leader about what's happening so he can help them. The monster starts attacking them and tries to defeat them, causing severe injuries. Ando goes to the leader and tells him what's happening and about the demon's presence. Suddenly, the monsters follow him and appear behind him, trying to attack. But the leader intercepts them and asks him to go to the Adventurers Guild to inform them. Currently, we see the heroes trying to escape from the demon. They reach the team leader, but suddenly the demoness appears and kills him. At this point, Koki, one of the heroes, gets angry and uses the power of boundary break despite his body being unable to withstand it, and starts attacking her. In another scene, we see the guild leader asking Hajime to undertake this mission. He tries to refuse, but Mio says that Papa is strong and will save them, and everyone agrees. At that moment, Hajime agrees and enters the labyrinth. Because of the long distance to reach them, Hajime uses his power to dig a tunnel in the ground to reach them quickly and kills some monsters upon arrival, shocking everyone. First, because he is alive, and second, because of his strength. All his friends are shocked by his strength and strange appearance, and Kari seems happy about it. Hajime asks everyone to take care of the students and Mio while he deals with the demoness. He tells her that if she wants to stay alive, she should run away, but she tries to attack him. He kills the monsters, and the demoness starts a massive attack with a huge number of monsters on Hajime. But he destroys the monsters with ease. She uses a giant turtle that shoots a beam, but Hajime easily blocks it and directs the beam toward the demoness. He throws a bomb at her and destroys her. Everyone is shocked by his immense strength and can't believe it's Hajime. The student who tried to kill him is angry about this, and Yue gets angry and tells him that she will kill him if he tries to obstruct Hajime again, which terrifies him. A group of monsters appears and tries to attack the students, but Yue and Shia easily defeat them. Hajime also gives Shizuka a sword to protect Kaori. Shizuka is surprised by the sword because it is very sharp and light. The demoness tries to attack Hajime with poisonous magic and escape, but he intercepts her and prevents her from escaping. He goes to her and asks her to tell him how the demons tamed the monsters, but she refuses to answer. He realizes that the demons entered the labyrinths and obtained the ancient magic, and the ability to control monsters is one of the ancient magics. And then he kills her afterward. He asks Shia to save the warrior leader Meldy, and she saves him from death. But he is still severely injured. Kaori goes to him, starts crying, tells him she is happy he is still alive, and apologizes for not being able to save him. She hugs him. They continue the labyrinth together, and Amanogawa asks Hajime why he killed her even though she surrendered. Hajime replies that he is only angry because he didn't kill her himself. Ian tells him that she was an enemy, so he killed her. Anyone who obstructs his path will be killed, whether a schoolmate or an enemy. Then they leave the labyrinth and are surprised to find an army outside after exiting. The Adventurers Guild leader tells him they are here to help the heroes, but it's now useless. Kaori tells Hajime that she wants to go with him on his adventure and tells him she loves him. But he says he loves Yue and doesn't accept, but Yue agrees to let her come with them, and they start getting to know each other. All this ends, and it seems that everyone is happy with this conclusion, and they start leaving on a new journey. And so our first adventure ends. After our heroes faced many challenges and discovered unexpected secrets. However, the journey is not over yet. What awaits them in the second part will be bigger and more exciting. Stay tuned for more adventures and new challenges. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell to receive all new updates.